Section 4 is all about landscaping. So we're going to set up the scene. We're going to add some scale figures, some trees, some grass, add some context, add some weather, some background. So let's get into it. First thing we're going to do is adjust some landscaping. I highly recommend building topography not in this. This is not a very accurate way to do it. You can, but like I said, it's not recommended. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Yep, so under library, what was that? Library, vegetation, landscape, the landscapes here. Right now I have this starting ground. I'm going to delete that. I also have, whatever that was. I'm going to create this like rocky grassland. All I do is drag, drop. Alright, we got a rocky grassland. Looks pretty cool. I don't know if this is the route we want to go. Also, the building's floating, so to adjust that, all we're going to do, navigate to the top here, select the model. Let's do hover over the blue arrow, hit minus 100. Should be good to go. Alright, now let's click on this landscape. We're going to pull up the options at the bottom here. Let's sculpt some terrain. So we got this couple of tools down here. We can adjust diameter. You'll notice that the key is moving up, down. Adjust that. You can adjust intensity, the shape, smooth, circle, or blobs if you want to do it a little bit more sporadic. And then we can go up. We can go down. We can smooth everything out. We can create noise, erode, or make a plateau, flatten. So I think I want to raise this thing up a little bit. Let's make this huge. Whoa. So my intensity is pretty high. I'm going to drop this down a little bit. That looks ridiculous. But from there we can just create our terrain. So right now I'm adding it. Now I'm going to take it away. And now I'm going to smooth this thing out. We can also create some noise. This is what this looks like. I don't know, it just kind of roughs the surface up. This one is going to create some hills, I believe. Oh, this is erode. So it just lightly takes stuff away. My intensity is only at 12, so if I jack this thing up to 100, you can really see what that thing does. And then I can flatten this thing out too. Got flat surfaces. Pretty cool. Let's go back. Let's go paint terrain. So we can change what the terrain looks like. We can go from grass to grassy ground, gravel, mossy rocks. Adjust diameter, adjust the scale, adjust the opacity, adjust the shape. Let's say that we want some gravel. And just like that, we got some gravel. There's a lot you can do with this stuff. I recommend playing around. It's the best way to learn, right, in my opinion. So that's to adjust the landscape. Next thing we're going to do is do context in buildings and roads. If you're looking for precise buildings and roads, do this in Revit or some other program. This is going to give you really rough looking terrain or context. So it's going to be down here under context. We're going to go to urban. We got to select. We can search an address here. Let's go with one urban place. And we'll use the selection tool, zone, to grab. Highlights the selection that we want. Drag it in place, hit that grab button. We got a context. So like I was saying, it's accurate to a point. think this is our building over here. So the height of that building is probably not accurate. We can adjust that by clicking on this building and then adjusting the height. Or you could just type in a number here, maybe 50 feet. We can also say we don't like this road. You can delete that road. Like, you can't model very well in this, so the context is more rough than accurate. It's good if it's far away. It's good for like white building boxes and stuff like that. But if you want precise stuff, say you need to relocate this building next to another building, I would recommend modeling those in Revit and then importing it in there. All right, next we'll add some scale figures, vehicles, and paths. That's going to be in the same category here. So context, paths. We're going to create a vehicle path. We're going to hit this little vehicle path button. We're going to make the car drive on this road. So that's just clicking and adding some dots. Pretty intuitive. Once you're done, you just hit escape. Now that we hit escape, it tells you about how many lanes. We'll do 2 lanes. Go 2 lanes next to each other. 30 miles an hour. And then it kind of looks like I created a highway. So this is actually lanes per. I'm actually going to do 1 lane per. That way there's just 1 lane. So instead of creating a super highway, we can create this density lower, and it'll be more like a rural area by creating less cars that travel along the path automatically. Or, I mean, we can make it like Chicago traffic and just jam this with cars. Increase the speed to like 1,000. These cars are zooming. You can even change the rule. A lot of different options you can use with this. Next we could do is create a character path. So let's say that we want characters to be walking around the space. This is usually done in like an interior shot. Click all of our clicks, hit the escape button, and then we'll have people walking. So you can choose what they're wearing, if it's office, travel, beach, traditional Middle Eastern. And then you could do what type here, and then African, Asian, or Caucasian. Just have all of them checked. You can change the width so that people are walking not necessarily in a straight line, but maybe it's down a hallway. We can also pick up the density here. We can reverse the walk so they're walking the other way. Make them walk or make them just stand still. Next is, so back into that setting, there's a couple more things you could do, like vegetation paint. So vegetation paint's pretty cool because we can actually create multiple different layouts. So let's just say we need to create, none of these trees are going to match because some of these are not going to be native to, I think this is Montana. Riverton's not Montana. I don't know where Riverton's at off the top of my head. Sorry, it's been a week. I'm going to go with vegetation paint here. We're going to increase that diameter. And I can actually just paint a forest, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't have to be trees, which is another cool thing. Delete. So I can actually paint some shrubs, some bushes. It's a lot less. I could paint grass. I could paint rocks, grass and flowers. There's a lot that I could do there. Vegetation paint's pretty cool. It doesn't have to be as big either. And if I want to erase some of this stuff, I can actually come back and erase that too. let's shrink this down, add some shrubs around the outside of this building. Let's say this is in Florida. We're going to add some ferns, banana plant. Take off this boxwood. And from here I'll just start adding this stuff. Just like that. Alright, I talked a little bit about scale figures. I'll go into more scale figures here. Scale figures are pretty cool because we can do animated, we can do groups of people, posed, cutouts, or animals. Cutouts will give you like a 2D still shot. So it'll always, it's like a SketchUp essentially, they'll always be facing the same way that you place them. If I go back into characters, I'll do posed humans, and these are more 3D. So healthcare, you can actually rotate Richard here. He's more of a 3D element. Lucy's also a 3D element. So all of these are 3D besides the cutouts that we have. You can also slap some groups on there. Maybe these people are all waiting in line. These people are gathering around a piano. I think these are kids playing hopscotch. So there's quite a few things you could do in there. And if we even wanted to go into Quixel Megascans 3D assets, we can also create more 3D assets from here. All right. I believe that is it for that section. Next, we're going to be in scene settings. So scene settings is that little button down here. Scene settings is a lot of stuff you can do. You can change the renderer. So I'll just walk you through all these settings real quick. Change shadow lines, so you can make the shadows longer, shorter. There's a lot of settings in here that you can play with. Path tracer I do not touch because it might crash my computer. You can change the lighting environment to be dynamic. A skylight, you can change the exposure to be higher, white balance to be higher, slower. There's a ton of settings in here, and sometimes there's even more underneath those settings. We can change the location. So let's drop this thing in Madison, Wisconsin. It's probably like there. Change the time of day, change the month, and it will adjust the time, which is really cool. You can also change north offset. It'll pick it up automatically from Revit, but if, let's say we need to adjust that, you can see that north arrow changing. And what's really cool is we can also change the background. So if we don't want this to be in the city, you can see the city back there. It's a little bit different because I adjusted the landscape, but we can also change this to something like mountains, city, a lot you could do there. Alright, then we go back and we change some weather. So we can make a snowy scene. Really cool. It touches, snow touches everything. You change the growth. I believe that'll be, so we actually even cover the plants too. Change the growth to make them smaller or bigger. There's even some ways where you can make this fall. So if you had the specific trees that you wanted to make fall, they'll actually change their leaves. We'll adjust this weather to be raining. I wonder if it was snow. Yep, so snow will fall. Really cool stuff you can do there. This tree looks a little bit dead because it's in the middle of winter. We can change it. So you change the effects, what direction the wind is blowing, the wind speed, smog, if we wanted to add smog or fog, particles, that's like the snow that's falling, change the ocean. I mean, there's a ton of settings. I would just recommend playing around. I don't think that you'll use all of these all the time, but they are kind of fun to have. All right, another really important thing is going to be camera angle. So this is pretty cool because we can create videos and then create shots that are different, more maybe cinematic. So let's say I want to, I don't know, zoom in or zoom way out. We'll take that shot and I'll show you a little bit about that in the future, next video actually. And then let's say we want to zoom in to a shot. We can change that field of view to really zoom in, make it very cinematic. We could do, that's changing the aperture, so how much light is being captured. It's a lot of stuff you do. The parallelism is the natural distortion of a camera. It's more into photography, but whenever you take a picture, it'll read a little bit, I don't know, tilted. We can turn that off, and everything will read straight vertical, which is good for an exterior shot, not too good for an interior shot. But feel free to mess around with that if you need to. Do vignetting, make it more cinematic. Do a lens flare, the sun's in your eyes. A lot of visual effects you could do, maybe color gradients. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If I wanted to change this to something a little bit more sci-fi, more SketchUp-like, do that, change the filters, you can make it into clay, which makes everything like one shape, or one color, I mean. Don't know why you'd use that, but you could. And then you'd also change reflections. This is like reflections off the window. Alright, that was a lot. Next set is going to be how to produce still shots and video rendering. So I'll see you in the next video.